Namaste Mataji. We feel blessed to have you here today on our show. And today is a special episode, a special podcast because we are in the Himalayas in Pangot, and it is a beautiful place. So today we are going to talk about spiritual practices. So Mataji, tell me, how does a place impact a spiritual practice, and how important is the place?
It is very important. Actually, until we transcend mind, all these factors play quite a big role.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in a vibrant place with a lot of spiritual energy, the mind will naturally go into meditation. The mind will naturally remain calm and sober. So the place matters a lot because, it's not just about places that where there are objects. There are also very subtle level vibrations in every place. What has been done in that particular place, it leaves its stamp, its mark on that place, and these vibrations can be so subtle, they affect the mind.
Yes.
So mind is you can say a very subtle sense organ. It detects these vibrations and it changes its moods and attitudes accordingly. So when you are in a spiritually vibrant place, a place where a lot of spiritual practice has happened. See, just now we are in the Himalayas. This is the place where Vedanta was born.
Yes.
And this is the place where the Upanishads were, transmitted by word of mouth from teacher to disciple, and then later on they were put into books. But this is the place where it all began, our study of Vedanta. So, this place naturally has a very beautiful vibration. These peaks which you see, the mountain peaks, just looking at the stillness of these mountains will make your mind still.
Right.
And there's a vastness about a mountain range, a loftiness about it, which you can feel here. And the vibrations are so holy and pure that any time of the day or night, you will feel meditative. So what else would you attribute this to than the purity of the place?
Right.
So, in Kashi they say this, that suppose you do 1,000 japa somewhere in some other place, and you do the same 1,000 japa in Kashi, it will be equivalent to 10,000.
Oh.
For the simple reason, the place has added its spiritual potency, its energy to your japa.
Okay.
And so it gets sort of augmented. And it is possible to extract or absorb the spiritual energy of a place by doing spiritual practice there.
So it uplifts the mind also.
It uplifts the mind, it elevates the mind, it clears the mind, it purifies the mind. You see how your mind will behave in places like this. You can understand in a very simple manner, even in a city, you go to a temple, your mind behaves in a particular way. You go to a theater, it will behave in another way. So where there are intense spiritual vibrations, it is very good, auspicious to do spiritual practice there, to intensify your practice.
Yes, Mataji.
And get a hold over the mind completely. Because you see, unless the mind gives its grace, you can't hold on to any steady bhav. Vedanta and all this becomes possible when you have the insight and the capacity to hold that insight. Dharana Shakti should be there. So that becomes possible if you do it in a place which is naturally spiritually vibrant and pure.
And it is also very silent, Mataji.
It is absolutely silent. At night, though, it is absolutely silent. So you always feel fresh in a place like this.
Right.
And that's why you see the importance of preserving pilgrimage spots. Don't come here like a tourist, I tell everyone. Come here, stay here at least for 3 days, 3 nights, and perform spiritual practice. Because the whole place is something surreal.
Yes,
out of the world, and if you can utilize it, I think that is why yogis and sages have been running and coming
to the Himalayas. It's everybody's dream to come here.
It's not just about the beautiful scenery, it is about the vibration of the place. It's spiritually vibrant.
Yes, Mataji. And Mataji, how important is japa in these kind of places? What is the importance of japa?
Japa is absolutely important, easy to do, and if you are initiated into a particular mantra, the Guru Shakti adds on to the power of the mantra, and the mantra itself has intrinsic power. It is the name of the Lord, The bijaksharas are there in every mantra, which signify a whole lot of things. They are actually the symbolic representations of the deity. So they hold deep meaning and import. And if you can practice japa in spiritually vibrant places, you will feel its impact on the mind. Mind functions magically when you perform spiritual practices in a holy place.
So is it important to be initiated before you start your japa?
Initiation is very important. For those who do spiritual practice, they will understand this, that you always require a guide, somebody who can point out, who can show you the way. And the spiritual power of the guru is passed on to the disciple when the initiation takes place. So you draw upon a huge reservoir of power. And the mantra itself, you see, what is the difference between a mantra and an ordinary sentence or statement? Mantra is mananat trayate iti. When you repeat the chanting, it liberates your mind.
Right.
That's a mantra. That which liberates your mind through repetition is a mantra. So when we have such powerful methods, why should you not use them? Besides, when you keep repeating the mantra, the mind gets used to the atmosphere created by that repetition. It gets used to calmness, holiness, the purity of mind, the intense awareness. When it gets used to these things, it's such a huge help in spiritual practice.
Yes.
So tomorrow, this very mantra will lead you into deep meditation. Because when you keep doing japa thousands of times, initially you may keep a count, later on you may not even keep a count, hours and hours, you start feeling that the whole place is vibrating with that kind of a vibration. Gradually the mind stills and goes into meditation. The state of ajapa, which means japa is spontaneously happening, although you are not doing it. It's arising from the heart center directly. That is a very powerful state.
Right.
Most potent state, because now your awareness is just going to blossom forth completely. It's a felt experience. You must feel these experiences to understand the beauty of life. Yes?
Yes, Mataji.
That's why spiritual practices must be performed, and if you can go on retreats in places like this and do them, nothing like that.
So today we have understood the importance of the place, Mataji,
Yes.
the japa and meditation.
Yes.
Japa finally leads to meditation, and
Yes.
meditation to self-realization.
Meditation is that state when the mind has moved
Calm
aside
down.
and the reality of your being has come to the forefront. And this has happened spontaneously, not that you are jerking your whole system to make it happen. This has happened spontaneously because of your spiritual practice, the power of, you see, Thakur also used to speak of Abhyas Yoga.
Yes.
The power of your spiritual practice, it builds the momentum to generate these super sattvic states. And the state of transcendence is beyond sattva also. So if you can practice japa like that with a purpose, with deep will, and totally garnering all your energies, that's why, there are certain preconditions to spiritual practice. First of all, place, you choose a good place, you choose a good environment, proper vibrations, stay pure throughout that period. Don't expose yourself to all sorts of things. Keep your mobile at a little distance. Dive deep within yourself. Use prayer as the means, japa as the means. Constantly keep with the holy name. Holy Mother used to recommend all this so much to spiritual aspirants. And then you will see you will be ushered naturally into the state of meditation. And there is nothing to compare with the state of dhyan, where you achieve that ekatanata, that continuous flow of one thought towards your object of meditation and get absorbed in it. That state of absorption, it's really par excellence. One who tastes of these states will find that our usual thought activity is very poor. It's a small way of living. But deep absorption in all this is really so liberating. It gives the mind what it requires.
Yes, Mataji.
And puts the mind in place. Once your awareness blooms forth, you will see that is life. Consciousness is life. The rest is just
It's just happening, Mataji.
hazy, diluted and intermittent way of living, passing through time and space. It's not called life. Life is when you live it fully consciously. So you bring consciousness to the forefront and see for yourself. It's a full life.
Yes, Mataji. So in places like this, you discover yourself.
You discover yourself and you discover the inner divinity of your being.
Yes.
God, whom we are worshipping in idols, images, temples, is residing right in our hearts.
Inside us.
We are closing our eyes to that and, projecting Him on a representation outside. So we understand that most of all. This is what is called Atma Jnana, Atma Vidya.
Yes,
this is what the Upanishads are actually speaking of. God is right within our heart as consciousness. So discovering that.
Yes, Mataji. One more thing, Mataji, which I wanted to ask was, what is the one most important requirement for meditation?
I would say the single most important requirement for meditation is purity of mind. Because in the meditative process, the only obstacles created are born of impurities of mind in the form of negative thoughts or some passion, some anger, something or the other. That can create a kind of obstacle to the meditative process.
Right.
So to attain this purity of mind, clarity of mind, so that the mind is able to support the meditative process in such a way, you are able to, in the first person, you are able to maintain awareness. You generate the insight towards truth and you maintain the truth. Hold the truth in your own heart. So to be able to do this, purity of mind is required. In fact, all spiritual practices are meant for this. For attaining purity of mind or heart, whatever you may say both, because the mind actually resides in the heart. Although the internet will show you it resides here, it actually resides only in the heart. So if you are able to, that is why these practices like japa and all, they keep the heart center active. And it awakens after some time by the power of spiritual practice and the grace of God. So an awakened heart center, you get the capacity to rivet attention there, hold focus in such a way, your insight will lead to absorption. These states are very important.
Yes, Mataji.
See, when I use the word states, don't take it as state of mind. What I'm saying is, to be fully conscious in the first person experience is an important thing to experience. When the mind repeatedly is able to experience such things, actually mind does not become fully conscious. Mind moves aside.
Yes.
And awareness comes to the forefront, as it were. When you are able to catch something like this and hold it in your experience for long periods of time, the mind naturally gets purified. Awareness is purity. And the mind should not bring in the negative thoughts. So purification is of memory and breaking the connection between desire and memory and all that, so that wrong images are not invoked in these processes. So for that, a general purification of mind and repeated practice of meditation and samadhi and all this is required. Traditionally, this is what was prescribed, so that you are able to hold your insight in such a manner, you are absorbed in the state of pure consciousness. The mind will not finally reveal that state. So it is not a state of mind.
Okay.
See, only through sadhana you can understand this. You purify the mind and it transcends itself. You do not attain the self through the mind, for the simple reason you cannot accommodate something as vast as consciousness, Brahman, into the small receptacle of your mind. It cannot be accommodated in a vritti. It's not a thought form. It is not an idea. It's not ideation, mentation, cognition, thinking. It is far beyond that. For that you purify the mind first of all, and it shows you the way, and it will not bring obstacles on the path. Finally, the actual experience is first person, it's a felt experience. It is the experience of becoming progressively more and more conscious deep within yourself until you touch pure consciousness. Pure consciousness means without content, without thought, without emotion, without anything of this. So it's just the feel of bare awareness, which you are. And when it descends into, whatever word you use is wrong. When it unfolds within you, you will find that to be your primary being. And
this is
even
what we are.
Exactly. And mind also is foreign to it. It is an object to it. So you get quite distanced from your own mind in a sense. So these are all something you should do and know. Not, keep thinking about it the whole life. Thinking is good because it will help prevent some other forms of thinking. But it is something to be Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. You will become that as a result. So practice and see.
So attaining, Mataji, purity of mind first, and then it leads to
If there is
meditation.
purity of mind, absorption is natural. If there is no purity of mind, you are struggling with various things. A little bit of understanding, little bit of knowledge. Knowledge acquires a new meaning when you dive deep into meditation.
Right.
And even your bliss then comes from within, so you are not at the mercy of objects. You don't require objects to entertain you. All that is acquired taste. It is not the real original taste of your being. So the grip of desire is loosened naturally.
Okay.
So this is all a huge science in itself. You can read about it in the life of Buddha.
Yes, Mataji.
The struggle he underwent to get the highest enlightenment, and then how it happened. So something of this should come into our lives, isn't it?
It's very important, Mataji.
Very important.
Mataji, one more question. What is the difference between insight and absorption?
Insight is immediate knowledge. But unless you have the sanskars to hold that insight, there are things which can dilute your insight also. Which means now you know the nature of the self, but your mind is causing all kinds of impediments. This can happen in spiritual life. That is why the insistence on purifying mind. If the mind is pure, it will not create obstacles. The knowledge will be continuous.
Okay.
Your consciousness is in continuous flow, as it were. So the full illumination of pure being or existence, consciousness, bliss, Brahman, is attained only through a pure mind. And that is continuous knowledge, you can say. It's called samvit, it's called prajna. Always, even when the mind is working, it is there, as it were. There's a sense of awareness which no mind activity can bypass, as it were. Everything you see illumined in that light. And the mind finds its place. It will understand that it does not reveal the highest knowledge. It moves aside to make way for the new, for the highest knowledge. So these are all insights which you gain through meditation, and absorption is the thing. Long periods of absorption will make you firm in Brahmagyan and not otherwise.
So meditation is also a form of absorption, Mataji.
Meditation leads to absorption. Samadhi is absorption. But now we are using yogic terminology. In the path of Vedant or Advait Vedant, they may not use this terminology, but Nididhyasan, what they use, is very similar to the meditative process and the higher meditation, Samadhi like it is. So being able to maintain this steady flow of pure awareness continuously. So it's the only continuum actually which is within us.
Yes.
To be able to hold that in first person experience, this is very important. That is why we keep using the word absorption and all that. I'm not exactly saying that then you close your eyes to everything and remain absorbed. Even when you're opening your eyes and doing things, you have that sense within you. This is prajna. It is possible. But initially you must practice. For that, meditation and closing your eyes is important.
Initially you have to start
Initially
like
you
this.
have to start like that. Because when you aim at something as high as this, it is important you be totally dedicated to the practice.
Yes, Mataji.
Otherwise we'll get a precious little, whole life we will be discussing and it won't realize. You won't realize the thing. So truth is to be realized, they say, no? It is already there, but now you have opened yourself fully to it. Otherwise it remains closed.
Yes, Mataji. So to attain the highest, we have to practice all these disciplines. Go step by step.
Yes, go step by step. Practice intense japa. It will lead you to meditation. Practice intense meditation. It will itself show you the next stage. Raja Maharaj, Swami Brahmananji, who was the first president of Ramakrishna order, he would say this again and again. You can read his book, eternal companion.
Okay.
He says this again and again. Dive into spiritual practices, dive into japa and meditation. The mind only will show you the way. The mind becomes a kind of guru. The pure mind becomes like a guru.
Okay.
It will guide you. But it is important also to stay in a spiritual ambience. That is why these retreats, periodic withdrawal from our normal activities, all are important for the sadhak.
It's very important.
Very
Mataji.
important. These bhavs, you must hold on to them. They are most precious in life. So if you can do it steadily, stay in the right ambience, I think it will generate, you will get snippets of what is called liberation.
So very important to stay in the right ambience with the right
absolutely,
people
absolutely.
and the right place, Mataji.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Mataji, for this beautiful enlightenment. Thank you, Mataji.